Hello, my name is Oscar, and I'm on a mission to help 1 million people become Java developers. And today we will review my old university project, which is Snake game implemented in Java using the infamous Swing library. Uh, so let's take a look at it, and maybe if you guys behave, we will do some refactoring. And now, if of course we have time and there would be some obvious things we could improve, of course I will show you how to do it, so we, both you and I, can learn. So let's start with GitHub description. Uh, yeah, so this was like a simple, maybe not exactly simple, but like a clone of the classic Snake game that was done for the GUI class at the university I was on. Uh, Back then it was super hard, and as you can see, it was done 3 years ago. So back then only like the basic ChatGPT existed. There was like no agentic AI, no like harnesses, none of that bullshit that we have to deal with today. So this will be human generated slop, if you can imagine that. So like we are going to the ancient times, looking at the code that was done by the Egyptians and like Greeks and, and so on. So yeah, uh, basically, of course, we have simple controls of the snake. We have some score tracking, game over when we collide with the boundary or with the body of the snake. So like a standard, and we have few types of apples. So we have a red apple that just gives you extra segment and points, like in a basic snake game. Black apple that will just kill you. Golden apple, I don't know why there's emoji of green apple, that gives you extra points and segment. Mm, and that's weird. And scissors that just cut your segments, so game becomes easier because the speed depends on the length of the snake. Uh, I believe it was not written in Java 8, so I don't know why this is this version exactly. And yes, how to play. Basically, we don't care about it because we'll run it using IntelliJ. And this is how the game looks like. I will show you how it runs in a second. As I remember, I done all of these images myself in Paint or something. So yeah, and yeah, some standard stuff from the README. Uh, nothing crazy here. If you guys want to know how to make a good README, I advise you to visit the makereadme.com. Of course, today I'll use AI to generate stuff like this, but I think it's worth at least knowing how correct and very nice and clean README looks like. So yeah, you can visit this website. And let's now go to the code. So what everyone is waiting for. Uh, I took a brief look at this code, and I can already tell you it's very bad. Very bad. I knew nothing about programming back then. I mean, at least almost nothing, because it was like I think second semester, and I was just starting to learn Java and software engineering in general. I had some minor experience with programming, mostly web development in JavaScript, before I started university, but it was nothing compared to what came later. Let me take a sip. Uh, okay, so we have the main class that extends the JFrame. As I remember, JFrame is like the main abstraction for like the window class in the Swing library. Basically, I would never recommend anyone using Swing for any like desktop web application, because it's super outdated. It's ugly because, of course, it has its own like feel and view, and it's very hard to customize it. So most of the time, you will just stick to the default ones if you don't want to write thousands of lines of code to customize this shit. But if of course learning to Java, I think it's like the most default and the basic and most simplest library you could choose. If you don't care about like if this project we are doing is not about like creating some production desktop app that you will sell to other people and other people will depend on. I think Swing is okay just for learning, and if you want to more focus on learning Java and like writing some backend logic for that application, I think it's fine. So yeah, here we create uh, the window. Of course, we have some board logic. I think board logic is the backend of this game. Yeah. Oh, no, no, no! I know what's happening here. I remember it. Basically, I think the requirement for this project, because it was like a university project for a class, was to use the observer pattern and like the listeners, and you will see the weirdest code here I have ever written. So basically, this class has listeners uh, inside, right? It's like not in separate classes, but inside. It's like main. Sorry, not main, but like a constructor. So basically, we have this game state listener, food event listener, generate food listener, that are basically interfaces, as I remember. Yeah, it's interface, and are here implemented as anonymous class. So basically, it's inline class, you could say, in Java if you don't know what it is. So basically, you don't have to declare all of this like public class in some separate file, but just implement this interface as an anonymous class here. And yeah, so basically, don't ask about it. Don't ask about it. Don't do it. It's like doesn't have any sense. Basically, we could have instances for instead of listeners, just instances of it, because I think all of these events are okay. In some main run. Yeah, and you just fire events here basically, fire game state, um, and here we have yeah, fire game state. Yeah, that's really bad. You shouldn't do stuff like that in general. But maybe let's start from the beginning. So yeah, here we declare some options for the window. Of course, probably it shouldn't be done in main, but there should be like some separate class, for example, called let's go from the source, called window, or frame if we want to go with the naming from this library, and all of the stuff that is related to Windows should be down there. And here we just probably should go with like frame, frame, new frame. And basically in the main class, you only want to instantize other classes. You don't want to have any logic basically, or like really like very minimal logic in the main class. Main class is just as an endpoint to your application. You shouldn't have that much stuff here basically. But of course, as I see, we mainly do stuff about Windows stuff should be in separate class probably. Yeah, and there's like some display of player dialog. Maybe actually let's start with running the application so you can see how it looks like. And of course, my window manager is oh shit. Yeah, I didn't want that. Of course, it's in Polish because it was for Polish class. So it asks us to provide our username. Let's go with Oscar. And yeah, you have this simple game. It looks bad, but it has its charm, I think. As I see on OBS that you don't see the whole thing, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, so that's basically the game loop. And if we hit ourselves, basically we can hit ourselves in the place. It starts a new game. And as I remember, it also stores the player score here in the binary format, because that was one of the requirements of the project to make it save the game state in binary file. I mean, not game state, but like the scores. And if we are already looking at the project structure, as you can see, there are like random images like spamming here. Probably we should create some form of resources package Of course, if it was not like a basic Java structure with like a Maven project or like a, what is the other one called? A Gradle project. Of course, we would have like a different package structure here. For example, that would be like dev budget, for example, main Java, and there will be all of the Java code here. And we would have some package resources, for example, and all of this stuff would go here. So our repository is nice and clear. Okay, so that's like the first improvement we could do to this project. Of course, second one is that we should extract all of this frame logic. So instead of main being the instance of the JFrame, we should create some other frame that would extend the JFrame, and we should get all of this logic outside of here. Of course, yeah, here we instantiate all of it. Yeah, and this is the show player name dialog that we provided, that we saw earlier. Yeah, of course it's in Polish, so here is like the provide player name, and the player name cannot be empty and error. Yeah, and this is like the standard swing dialog that displays error. It's like, that's fine. Could be less nested. For example, we could try to do some early return here, I think. I mean, at least it's already doing early return here. But we could do something like it, for example. So if option, yeah, so inverted, for example, and return null here, return null. Why is option can't be applied to int? Do we do something like that? Okay. Yeah, and so on. I think you know the drill. It's not like the point to do it right now. Okay, so let's go further. Let's inspect the project structure. As you can see, we have some visual. I think it was supposed to be model view controller as like a structure for the project. So instead of visual, it should be called, for example, just view. Logic should be called, because it's it's like the logic of the application, so it should be model. And yeah, so basically back then I didn't know how we should name things in Java. So basically I understood that, yeah, so this interface is connecting logic and the view of the application. So how do we call it? Just link. So because it's linking both parts. Of course, it should be called just board in this example. Oh, that would be a lot of refactor, and I'm actually scared. But probably it should do all of this stuff. It should be just called board, because basically, if you think about it, the color of this interface doesn't care if it's interface, basically, and it's not C#, so you don't call your interfaces, for example, iBoard or like I coś tam. Yeah, something, sorry. A little Polish slipped in. Basically, you just call it how it should be called instead of adding some weird stuff to it. Because, as I said, color doesn't really care how it, what it is. Is it an abstract class or something? And now, if we have implementation, it should be just called rename board implementation. Yeah, and it's like this. Okay, so we have the, let's name it to interfaces. Interfaces, or just interface. Events, enums, it's fine. Uh, I think enums here, events here are mostly fine. They extended the event object from the serializable. Okay, that's fine. I think nothing interesting here to improve. It's final, nice. Enums, of course, uh, representing the state of the game. That's fine. Mm, 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 mm. Okay. Yeah, so let's go back here. Mm, 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 mm. Is there something interesting here? I think we went over everything. So let's start with the model. First of all, we have our huge board implementation class that I think should be, of course, separated into like different listener. If we wanted really these listeners, they should be in like different files. But for such a simple logic, they could just be methods in this class. For example, instead of being implemented here, uh, what is the name of this method, by the way? This should be just simple member, sorry, not member functions, but methods in this class, instead of being this weird, weird internal listener. And that would, I think, fix 90% of stuff here, because of course, uh, this is like okay implementation. You have like all of the information here. Uh, Maybe like the snake logic and like player movement should be in different class, but I think for such a small project, it's quite fine. So the like the main improvement here would be just getting rid of this useless listeners and half of these interfaces here, and go to just make simple methods from it. Can we see more problems here? Yeah, of course, something like this could be, for example, stream, I think. Or can we make a stream out of array? I don't think so. Maybe that's like the only way we could do it. So direction, that's fine. Yeah, cleaning the probably could be done better, but I think it's fine. Looking at recent segments. Okay, I'm not sure what it is about. Refresh thread. Okay, I guess. Some concurrency going on here. New game, cleaning the state of the game. Okay. Game over. But I think, of course, this is bad. This is like the continuation of the absolute slop. Gets cell value. Nice. Okay, I think that's mostly it about the main part. Why are you screaming at me with errors? Get rid of this. Thanks. Okay, and let's go to the view of this. So we have, I mean, I won't say a lot about the JFrame implementation, because of course we could say that it could be like more divided and uh, and so on, but I haven't really used this library for 4 years now, since I'm out of university. Sorry, for 3 years, because it's a 3-year-old project. But outside of the project I did in this semester, that project was done in, I haven't used Java Swing, and I'm very happy about it. And I'm not gonna use it anymore, I hope. So I don't really, I can't really say what would be like the more optimal ways to do it, things with this library. But let's maybe focus more on the whole project structure. So here we have some like main board panel. That's J panel. So as I remember, the Swing has its the main frame that you could put panels in and arrange them somehow. And these panels could have like some internal stuff, some like internal panels in them that could have different stuff. Uh, quite, I think, standard, like component-ish approach. Okay, we have some. Is this change game state? Is this player input? No, but because player input is in the model. By the way, what's weird, it should be in the view, I think, because view handles like the how the application looks like and the player input. File handler can be in the like the backend part, of course. Board visual, what is this? Oh, okay, so here's like the declaration of how the application looks. Okay, that looks fine-ish. I don't really like the magic numbers here. Some color value, what is this? Int color value. Custom cell renderer. Okay, maybe that was needed because how the swing works, but I hope not. That looks overcomplicated, to be honest. I think it should just use this enum value instead of using numbers. Maybe that was some workaround that I done back then. Yeah, of course we moved to the resources. So should reference resources with like, yeah, that's fine. Nothing major to improve here, I think, in the board visual with the board score panel. So okay, just paint this component. Okay, that looks okay-ish. Refresh. Of course, we are using. Could probably use some for each here or something. No, because no, we could. I think use. No, no, sorry, it's on the collection. Sorry, my bad. No, never mind. Okay. Looks okay-ish, I would say. We was already here. Okay, so we were over this board panel. I think the main problem with this project, because it was not my oldest project, because we can go to my even older project that is complete mess. It would honestly lose respect to me if you see it. But I think, as I remember, this project was done at the second half of this semester, so I already had some experience with writing bigger projects. So I think it's not that bad. Of course, a lot of stuff could be better here, but like the main things are okay-ish. Of course, we could more separate logic to like different classes instead of having this big, of course, and create some like separate methods to reduce nesting, for example. As you can see, we have like nested ifs here, under nesting here. But mostly it's fine. Okay. And how basically the logic and view interact with each other? Are they using only events? Player input, of course, player input is events. Board logic, refresh listener. Okay, so they only interact here from. Okay, so I think what is happening is that let me put out Excalidraw. Yeah, I think what's happening is that we have the backend, so the model, of course. We have view. We have some. I can copy it. Some input. Okay, and they only interact with each other through the events. So the input goes with event to the model, and model goes to refresh event to the view. I think there is no they don't interact any other way. We can obviously Yeah, because we don't even pass each other in the constructors, so they only interact through this refresh listeners, of course, which is okay, way to do it. But obviously, for such a small project, we could just, for example, of course, have a frame, uh, do something like this. So, for example, board. Uh, Board implementation. Then we have some board controller, for example. Yeah, never mind the errors here. Of course, this class doesn't exist. And then we could create frame because we would need it for the border visual logic. So like border view. Sorry, not border, board view. View new. I need to get the frame and the board. And then we would, for example, board add listener, add refresh listener view, for example, something like this. And then we would communicate not like this. Of course, we would still have input like this, but instead of going through events, we would have controller here. Okay, and of course, controller goes here. Yeah, so probably like more like this. And obviously we could like skip the controller and go straight like this for simplicity, and then it would connect using events back, right? Because model doesn't have the connection other way. And I see on on OBS that you cannot see the whole model, but basically we could do something like this, and for example have the controller class here. Okay. That would go like this. Shit. I'm still learning how to use SkyDraw. Yeah, something like this. Yeah. And I think that's mostly it for this video. I hope that you liked what I did today. And if you want your projects to be roasted next in the next episode, check the link in the description and submit your project. And till the next time, create some amazing applications.